Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay, well, I'm going to continue my stories collection of the health insurance, the doctors, mental health, and family, and just the whole nine yards. And I'm not going to say everything now, it's going to be all separated into different sagas, but you're going to continuously hear some of the same information in different pots. So because like I said in one of my last episodes that's actually up, some people are probably going to be annoyed when I tell of certain quotes that I kept hearing throughout my life. But part of me just feels like if the tables were turned, if you had to be subjected to and hear some of the things over and over and over and over repeatedly. And one thing I give them credit for, because it's not just my parents, but other people did it too, is like, but my mother was really good though. She was brilliant. She always made sure we were alone. And that's the scary part. Because sometimes when even I tell my dad or siblings, or like when I was like, I mentioned my Oakland University because I'm so frustrated because I tried telling people and no one believed me. And the fact is no one was allowed to see it, witness it, hear of it. It's like everyone basically accused me of the boy who called wolf. And the thing was, when I called, so-called called wolf, it would boomerang back to my mother, and then I was called the evil one. I was called the evil one, not because I was lying. And that's the thing. She kept saying I was lying. And I was so confused. Like, how am I lying? But then it made sense in a many ways because even with the doctors, and you're going to keep hearing me talk about the doctors because I blame them. And the pattern of how I was parented, it makes sense. But since the doctors kept telling my mother I was lying, they kept telling her I'm doing this for attention. And so, me going off to college and telling people what was going on at home, getting attention, that's what my mother said. She says, I'm so evil and I'm so desperate for attention that I'm telling what is happening between her and I to the world, to in public. And I should be ashamed of myself. But now, looking at myself, looking at who I am, looking at my diagnosed disability and my situation, I was never lying and I was punished numerous times. I can't even guess how many times I tried going to the doctors. And it's that, like I said last time, I have a lot of forgiving to do because I still do despise doctors. I know some people, they like doctors are the heroes. Like when kids say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so many kids say a doctor. And while you grow up, it's like your kid wants to go to med school, or whenever someone says they're a doctor, people's like, oh, you're so smart, you're so dedicated, you're so brilliant. Well, I must have ended up not okay. I'm not calling all of my doctors because my current ones, I believe I can trust, but I still cringe when I have to make doctor's appointments. I hate making doctor's appointments. I'm a grown adult, so I have to do it, but I hate doing it because they're the reasons why I got punished and spanked, and I'm I didn't know what to do. I kept saying I don't know why. I kept trying to call out. I kept trying to say I need help. I need support or something, and I never got it. Or everyone always told me you only need support because you refuse to walk right. You need to pick up your feet. You need to stop tripping over your feet. You need to catch your balance. You're just walking like this because you're lazy. And I keep thinking about when I was a baby. If I walked like this since I was a baby, it's like because yeah, I'm gonna be doing a lot of cartwheels and like reverses, and it's gonna be like a hectic Monopoly or gymnastics meet this episode. But before I forget, hi, hello, how are you? Sorry, my manners. And my episodes normally take a little bit, so if you need to pause, get a snack or something to sip and everything, it's like I'm pouring out some tea today. But okay, back at it before I forget where I was. It's hard for me to trust doctors, and it's hard for me to trust people and even make friends. I used to want to make friends with everybody. And especially since all the stuff was going on at home, I was just trying to find somebody who I can talk with, bond with, have as a buddy companion. Like one of my goals was to kind of have the Golden Girls experience. Like you find your best friend and you end up old and gray going to brunch and like complaining about your kids one moment but then bragging about them the next minute or whatever. But I will never have that. But it's no big deal. I I'm proud of telling my truth. And do I blame these people from my university for ignoring me or accusing me of lying? Yes and no. Yes and no. They all ran to one person asking her if it's true, asking her how I was treated. That's what frustrates me the most. They didn't ask me, they didn't come to me, they went to someone else. But my mother was a brilliant person. Absolutely brilliant. She always made sure you were alone with her. So, and for so long, time after time, I'm hearing, as long as you walk like that, no one's ever going to want you, love you, or marry you. And then even trying to talk to the pastors at my church or even the congregate, like sometimes sitting next to the congregation women, they would say, honey, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Pick up your feet. You're too pretty for that. Oh, you need to give some more tithes and offering. That's what you need to do. It's like, are you being stingy with your money? Is that how you got that pretty dress? You're stingy with your money? No, ma'am. Well, you need to stop buying something and put it in the basket if you want to walk right. Or are you just doing this so more people can look at you? everyone kept thinking I was just doing it for attention. So, trying to go to the doctors, I had this one female white doctor. Oh, I can't. Whew. If I could go to her funeral, ooh, they would kick me out so fast if I got to go up and tell them what she did to me. Because for trying to do the math real quick, but let's see, that's for about 12 years she was my doctor until she literally had to leave her practice. She had to quit. And they never really specified, they never said why. Yeah, I can't speak. I don't know. It's like, now that I'm thinking about it, they never specified why. No, okay, see, it came out. It came out. But it was really annoying because she was the one that just kept telling my mother to be tougher on me. And it's like my mother would tell her that she spanked me or punished me or made me clean around the house or whatever, and it's not working. And she's like, well, nothing's wrong with her. So it's like, do what you need to. It's like she's perfectly fine. She's normal. Do what you have to make sure she can walk right. And I'll talk about that whole story later on, but she's the reason for quite a few punishments because it wasn't just once. Sometimes after the doctors, my mother would calm me down 2 to 3 times a week until she forgot. Like, oh, you do not know how happy I was when she would forget. But she would make me either march back and forth, or I had to balance, or there were different activities she would make me do to try to force me to start walking right. And even in college, because some people are like, oh, you're 18. Like, it didn't matter. And I had nowhere to go. Like, aunts and uncles, they all believed I was being lazy too, or my parents told everybody, oh, she walks normal, or she just doesn't want to walk normal. That's her choice. That's what she wants to do. So no one believed me. None of them. Some of them would even mock me or tell me, girl, just pick up your feet. Why don't you just pick up your feet? And yeah, yeah, the family member, if they listen, like, they'll know who I'm talking to with that one. That was at a barbecue out loud in front of several people in the family. I mean, it was more, but I just remember, just pick up your feet. Girl, why don't you just pick up your feet? It's like, we all know you walk lazy. We all know nothing's wrong with you. Look at your parents. Look at how they are. They're great. They're amazing. So just for the love of God, pick up your feet. It was longer than that, but I remember I was so embarrassed. It's like I ran off to the house, almost tripped up the stairs, and then he laughed at me. Oh, family, right? And I know some people are going to be like, why didn't you change doctors? And I mean, there's quite a few questions I know people are going to have. But I tried changing doctors. I did. But when I went up to the receptionist to ask her for information for doctors that had availability or they had room for more patients, she went back and told her. And so the doctor called my mother, and my mother called me into that room. She grabbed me by the collar so quick For 2 or 3 days, I had to wear something that hid my neck because of the scar that was on my neck. That's how tight she held it. If you ever try to go to another doctor, don't you dare change doctors. Do you hear me? It was more than that, but yeah. I don't want to traumatize anybody. I hope I didn't. If I did, I apologize. I'm sorry. But so I went to a couple more appointments, and actually, I think I went to 2 or 3. But I remember I played mime. Whenever she asked a question, I just shrugged my shoulders. Whenever she tried to start a conversation, I just looked at her like I was a ditz or whatever. And she kept trying to ask me questions. She kept trying to talk to me. And I just kept at it. I hardly said a word. And so the next time she had to call my mother called me in the room. What was wrong with you? Why didn't you talk to her? How would you know I didn't talk to her? I didn't say that because I want to I kind of no, I'm not going to say. But yeah, I had enough common sense to not say that because I did not want to end up on Law and Order or Dateline. Yeah, okay. See, I said it in a peaceful way. But the second time it happened, got yelled at, and the third time it happened, yeah, let's just say. So she's told me that if I tried to play that game again, then I would be kicked out the house. Yeah, that was her main thing. She kept telling me she was going to kick me out the house. And part of me was like, if you don't want me in this house, I have no idea where I'm going to go, but I'll figure it out. Because if I wrote and tried to publish my books, she was going to kick me out the house. If I started a YouTube channel, she was going to kick me out the house. If I tried to start a business, she was going to kick me out the house. If I dated a guy outside of my race, she was going to kick me out the house. There's others, but those are the top ones. And so now it's the doctors if I ignore my doctor or refuse to talk to her. So since she said I wasn't allowed to not talk to my doctor, I decided to no longer go to the doctors. And this is while the pain is getting worse. And and that's the thing, I would tell my doctor, I'm getting worse. The pain is getting more increasing. It is like now that I know symptoms are appearing. But every time I told her, she called my mother. And she basically said, I'm making it up, I'm lying. And so I have a few Oakland University stories, but some are probably like, why is she bringing up and why is she naming her university? It's because the pain I had a little pain in high school, but in college, it's like sometimes the pain was only for 10-15 minutes, a little steam, like having a hot bath, or sometimes, I don't know, cold packs. I don't know, it depended, but sometimes just changing the temperature of my knees helps. So then I could get in my car and drive to class or whatever. Sometimes at the end of class, where it's like I would feel my legs just feel funny. But it was there were a couple of days where the pain was getting so bad. When I woke up, I literally was like, God, can you please just get me in the car and I'll figure out the rest? And professors didn't care. They didn't listen. They thought I was lying. everyone kept saying, there's nothing wrong with you. There, you don't look like anything's wrong with you. I don't look like. Sometimes it's like I wish if I could have a fairy godmother, I wish she could just lift up my symptoms for just 15 minutes and give it to the other person, especially right before my surgery. If, oh no, it's like, okay, I'll say a month. It's like, because I want that, like, you have no idea how much trauma and how much pain and how much suffering I was going through for, I think, 2017 until 29 or 2020, because yeah, I had the surgery January of 2020, and I still had pain after that because I wasn't diagnosed yet, but it was so much better after the surgery, but the symptoms and my disability were still there. And so even in college, if they could just have mm, half of a day of how my legs felt in college, I don't think anyone, and none of them will apologize, but at least I think they will acknowledge that I was going through something. And at least acknowledge that I had a very extremely complicated relationship with my mother, because I have to I had to realize, and I have to realize because I'm still going through forgiving her. But I'm telling this story, and I'm telling you about her because I know and I've met other people with disabilities online that they talk about how their parents are like, "Oh, nothing's wrong with you. Oh, you're not in that much pain. Oh, you're not dealing with this." Oh, it's like, come on. It's like, so if you don't do this by this time, then, or if you don't start walking right, or if you don't get better with this exercise or whatever, then, and I'm just like, do you know how traumatizing that is for us? Like, especially for those who are born, I mean, well, for any of us with disabilities, but just imagine if you're born with it, and then literally you have people telling you, like, you have to get better, or you have to do, like, it's just like, what are you talking, like, and everyone kept saying I don't look like. The doctors would look at me and they would, you don't look like anything's wrong, or it's like, since I'm a thick girl, it's like, oh, go home and lose some weight. And the doctor that said that, this man is obese. I'm not even obese. I might be overweight, but I'm not obese. He's obese and he's old. Well, no, okay. I'm a Christian girl, so I'll leave that. There's a couple more things I want to say too. But my when people a lot of people tell me, you should have just kept going to the doctors, you should have just kept going to the doctors, go to a different doctor. I kept asking for different doctors and different specialists, but that doctor that I mentioned, not the one about that was old and obese, but the female doctor that called my mother and after every appointment after I was 18 years old, yeah, she refused. I would ask to see a specialist because you have to have like an appointment with permission from, I forgot what you call it, but she refused. She wouldn't allow me. She wouldn't let me. She wouldn't let me at all. And I remember one time when I got strep throat or something. I remember I had such a high temperature. I had like 102 or whatever. It's like two nurses had ice packs on me and everything, whatever. That is like, I'll tell that story one day. But I remember I asked her, and she was writing it. She wrote it out. I was so excited. I was so happy. But then it got canceled. And I was like, how? How is this possible? And Then I found out my doctor canceled it. Somehow she found out I had an appointment and she canceled it. I had an opportunity to at least see somebody who might have actually tested me, checked up on me, and maybe said, let's take a DNA test or let's go for MRI, something. And then some people say you should have kept going to different doctors. As I got older and I finally was able, like when I had to start using a cane and then a walker and stuff, they're like, oh, okay, so like I guess we actually have to help you. And then I started going for MRIs and stuff, but the health insurance, ooh, is so bad at the school I worked at. Do you know how many thousands of dollars I had to pay? Thousands of dollars, almost like, and then with the major surgery, over $200,000. Sometimes I wonder if I had doctors that had actually cared when I was a baby, when I was little, when I was younger, would I have needed that surgery? Would I have to had paid so many thousands of dollars for all of these tests and things? It's horrible. Because starting to invest money. I was saving for a mortgage for a house, and I had to spend all of the money for the house and even get some of the investment money out. And I think it was kind of a blessing because at least that money did make some money, but it hurt. It hurt because I was busting my tush off working around, like I was working two or three jobs, and I was like doing as much as I could, and I was so excited because I'm like, okay, I had a really nice amount of money in the bank. But then when I got the fee or the bill from the insurance agency or insurance company, yeah, almost every single penny I saved because I had at least around 5 or 6 MRIs, a CAT scan, over 30 blood work. I won't name all of the tests, but I had at least 20 to 30 different types of tests that had to be performed on me before fine, like, and everything kept coming back normal. You don't know how frustrating that is to have everything come back normal. So then finally the DNA test. And I remember when this one doctor, he kept laughing at me during our appointment in 2018 because my knuckles are darker than the rest of my hand. But then I realized it's because of my disability with how I move around. But I remember he kept laughing, like he wasn't caring about, like I'm telling him about my pain, but he's still laughing about my knuckles. And but then he's supposedly one of the best doctors in neurology in Michigan. But when he got the test back, when he called me, oh, I will tell that whole, yeah. Sorry, yeah. As okay, just know with a lot of the stuff, you'll hear the whole story at some point. But oh my gosh, I have never, like the 4 or 5 times I've heard him talk and speak, you should have heard this phone call. It started off with hello and silence. Hello and silence. And then he gave me the news and he told me to open my email/DNA test. And when I did, I realized I was telling the truth for over 30 years. But this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. So I will continue this, but yeah, that our health system, a lot of the doctors, they have a lot to learn. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my books, and have a great day. Bye.